Thursday, December 21st. I am Josh Engleman. I am joined by Adam Scherer. We are brought to you by Better. And depending on which site you play on, God, I can't talk. There's different sizes today. That's the thing I'm trying to say. 6 game slate on DraftKings, 7 on FanDuel. So much fun across the board. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and maybe send us a super chat so that Adam and I can go to Wendell Carter Jr. rehab.
Crazy to actually have profited on that slate too.
Yeah. Would have been staggering profits if he had
Yep.
a median outcome.
Right, exactly. Like didn't even need the best game, just anything competent. It was centers in general. Every lineup I looked at yesterday, like all of my good lineups. I had a lot of good lineups, like one player, just normally
Yeah.
Carter that sucked. But like I showed you, my lineup that came in 10th, Zubats instead of Carter, and he just doesn't play the fourth quarter. But it was like every lineup I throughout the night, I had a bunch that had like Şengün, where it's like, oh, if Şengün gets going, and then Şengün got benched.
Yeah.
It was weirdly just all of the centers yesterday.
Yeah, it wasn't great. I had one that didn't need too much in the Mega 888 to just put me into like a 5-figure territory victory of just like all I needed was Wendell Carter Jr. to be passable
Right.
or like semi-right about anything that we said yesterday. I went back. So I don't know if you've ever noticed this. The NBA.com box scores have direct links to whatever stat you click on. So you can just click on his field goal attempts and
Yeah.
see every shot that he took last night. So I
Yeah.
clicked on his made shots, which all happened within the final 5 minutes of the game. It was the first time he made a bucket. He also got like a multiple missed shot, like ball scramble putback with 30 seconds to go. So it was so much worse than it actually was. And it got salvaged by like random bullshit at the end. The exact thing I didn't expect him to be a part of.
Yeah, exactly. It was brutal. And yeah, to your point, like my Zubats lineup came in 10th. He would have needed like a massive fourth quarter for me to actually win that tournament.
Yeah.
But I was live for top 2 or top 3 if he just like
Yeah.
steps on the floor.
Yeah. I'm okay. Like, I'm not saying my 12th becomes first, but I'd like it to become sixth.
Right. Uh, on a kind of Zubats related note, I hadn't turned that Clippers Mavs game off by the time the Jason Kidd presser started, and I didn't catch the specific question, but the question was something along the lines of Dallas needing rim protection when they play small. And Jason Kidd just absolutely lost it. Like he was like, "You realize, we're playing small. I don't understand your question." And the guy kind of like reiterated it, and Kidd just like kind of gave him another answer, and then is just like, "You can't be this dumb," and just walks out.
That feels so relatable.
Yeah.
So relatable. So we have a ton of teams here on a back-to-back, which is incredibly not helpful. But for now, I'm ready to break this bad boy down if you want to.
Yeah.
I'm still in the process of running my stuff as well, so
Yeah, no,
don't
well,
feel
so am
bad
I,
there.
but then so I was getting like errors in my Excel sheet because we have the late games in projections, but we don't have them in ownership.
Okay,
And so I was trying to figure out why I was getting errors everywhere, but that's why.
gotcha. Gotcha. Well, we can start off pretty easily. Utah Jazz, 2-point favorites in Detroit, 238 total. And let's just take a pause right now. Hey, Pistons, I hope you're hearing me. If you want to get off this losing schneid, you might want to do it at home when you're only a 2-point dog to the Utah Jazz, because otherwise, most of these teams that you're going to play are going to kick the shit out of you. For now, though, you've got a shot. Get on that winning way. 10% ownership to Colin Sexton, about 10 to Talen Horton-Tucker. It's very different on FanDuel, where Sexton is still cheaper. He's 27% owned there. Tucker is 31% owned on FanDuel. Assuming we get the same guys that played yesterday for Utah that we would have today, I'm not all that enamored here. It's Kessler, it's Markkanen, and it's Sexton for me as the 3 guys that stand out, but I don't get the sense I would have a lot.
Yeah, Kessler, another center that I had in a good lineup yesterday that just didn't do shit. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think same guys for me. We got 30 minutes again from Kessler yesterday, 34 from Sexton. Horton Tucker got benched immediately in that game, but still ended up playing 30 minutes and having a good game. Those I think would be the 3 you get to first. That's where the field's getting 12% coming into Horton Tucker. 7K is expensive on DraftKings. Same for 7,700 for Sexton. But it is a 6-game slate for whatever stupid ass reason. So
Yes.
they're going to look better than they would if this were like a full slate.
I do hate that I have been beating this drum now for a few weeks, and the moment that they finally do it is the one where it's just like, by the way, I think you guys totally screwed this up.
Yeah, it's insane. It makes no sense. It makes
I
sense
just,
when you like what you were saying. You have a 9 game slate. All the games start by 8, except for one game at 10. Just sure, get rid of that one. Just
yeah,
cutting a slate by 25% to not deal with the 9 o'clock game and 10 o'clock game is insane.
yeah, I couldn't be less enthused by the changes that were made for this, but oh well, what are you gonna do? We're here now. We'll deal with it. We'll be fine. How bad could it possibly be? Are you expecting any, like, do you assume we're getting the full strength Utah team? I know this is just like a more of a generic question, but I'm guessing we get everybody. I doubt Markkanen is sitting, but like, do you see any path where we could open up anything from Utah?
I like if Collins or Markkinen or both sit,
Yeah.
potentially opens up like some Olynyk, makes everybody else obviously look better. Opens up some Chris Dunn if one or both of those guys are out.
All righty.
But like they're also priced up. Olynyk's up to 6,200, Dunn's at 5,800, Agbaji is at 4,900. It's they were shorthanded for so long that it's not opening up a bunch of cheap value.
All right. Well, let's go to the Detroit side then. They have complicated matters once again. Beef Stew is back. He is probable, as is Killian Hayes. He also missed the most recent game. 24% ownership coming into Bojan Bogdanovic, 10 to Asar Thompson, around 10 to Cade. So different on FanDuel. 15 to Hayes, Ivy, Stewart, Cunningham, Bogdanovic, and then 20 to Asar Thompson. It's clearly a great spot for the Pistons against Utah. I don't trust their minutes in any way. I don't really see a path that I like other than Bojan and Cade. I understand the path for like Asar Thompson or Jaden Ivey or maybe Killian Hayes, but let's just start with Bojan, 24% owned. Is that making sense to you?
Yeah, I mean it's a good matchup. Utah is not a good team defensively. 6,700 is a reasonable price tag on this slate, I think. So he's going over owned. We have him 14% to be optimal, 25% ownership, but small forward, power forward, reasonable price tag. Playing enough minutes, no concern at all there. Played 39 last game. I think he makes sense.
Yeah, I have no problem with it. How many minutes would you be willing to go here for Bojan?
Mid 30s probably.
I went 33. Does that feel
Yeah,
light?
so we're at 33.
Okay. Like I don't mind Cade at 8,600. That's fine. It's a good spot for him. I thought these guys would look a little bit more interesting than they do.
What are you assuming the starting lineup is?
Cade, Hayes, Thompson, Boyan, Beef Stew.
Okay.
Are you seeing it differently?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I
I
assume
was
I
just
assume
asking.
Stewart's going straight back to that starting 5 spot that they had mildly established.
Yeah, it seems like we have Ivy projected to start right now, which I don't think happens.
Do we have him in for like 28 minutes or something?
27, yeah.
Yeah.
But we only have Hayes for 22.
Yeah, I assume Hayes is I mean, he's been starting.
Right. Yeah. So that's my assumption also. Now I also assume when I run everything, I will once again be getting a ton of Jaden Ivey like I do every morning.
Yeah, I mean, Hayes has started 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He started his last 8 games that he has had the ability to play. I have no reasons to suspect they're making that change. If they do, great. Like, I'd rather get to $5,600 Ivy, I guess. But, and like, if you want to get to Hayes, that's fine. I don't trust anything they're doing. They've got too many different shitty bodies as like their 6 through 13 dude that it can be anybody.
Exactly.
Anything else we should be touching on here for Detroit?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So, on that note, we'll talk about the schedule for the rest of the day. It is loaded. Loaded. NFL strategy show coming up next. You get the Rainmakers NFL show. That'll be at 1:30. NHL strategy show at 2. I'm going to be hosting that show by the time this season ends. 4:30 will be the Owner's Box live show. Adam and I will be back for the deeper dive at 5 o'clock. NBA Live Before Lock at 6 p.m. and then NFL Live Before Lock at 7:30. We have 7 more live shows for you guys. Loaded loaded Thursday. If you want more content, right here is the place to be. So make sure you're hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel, hitting the notification bell, and downloading our avatar, stokastic.com/avatar. Grab the logo, put it on DraftKings, FanDuel, Owner's Box, Yahoo, because if you finish in the top 3 of a contest with 5,000 or more entries, you get 1 month of Stokastic, whatever you want, for free. That's a $200 value. Projections, ownership, boom bust, contest generator, and the sim tool for the NBA. If that's what you're looking for, you'd get it for a month as long as you finish in the top 3 of a contest with 5,000 or more. And you tweet that victory at Stokastic HOF on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. All right, next game, New Orleans Pelicans, 1-point underdogs in Cleveland, 228 total. Basically impossible to talk about right now. They have a Q tag on Herb Jones, a Q tag on Joe Val, and a Q tag on Zion Williamson, plus another one on Cody Zeller. That's 3 starters. 15% ownership to Joe Val, 17 to Najee Marshall right now at 4,100. Hard to talk about the Pels right now, but if they're at full strength, what stands out here against Cleveland?
Yeah, tough talking about it right now. Tough matchup too. Just clicked the wrong team by accident. But Joe Val at 7,200 looks probably like the best play here right now. 16% chance of being optimal, 18% projected ownership. Najee Marshall at 4,100 pulling 17% ownership at the moment. I can't get the injury report to even load. But other than that, those are the only 2 getting ownership right now. Zion, McCollum, Ingram, Jones all getting like 5 to 10%. But Joe Val looks the best to me at the moment.
I think I agree there. I like Zion quite a bit at 7,600 power forward center if he is in. There's going to be another power forward center option that you and I prefer, I hope. And that like BI is incredibly flexible in this spot. This is also going to look so different for the Pelicans if Donovan Mitchell doesn't play on the opposite side. That's just a less competitive game if they're down 3 of their starters too. Lots of major ambiguity in this game that we can't really dial in. Like if you get Zion out, that changes things for everybody. You get Joe Val out, that dramatically changes things. And all of a sudden we're like thinking about playing $3,700 Cody Zeller. It's really hard to break down the Pelicans right now, given the Q tags that exist.
Agreed, because like there not only are there 4 of them that matter, 3.5 that matter, but they all have different impacts too, potentially.
Yeah. Like if there's no Joe Val, it's Jam City on Cody Zeller, which is, Jam City on Cody Zeller. Not fun. Not fun. But you're liking Joe Val the most here?
Yeah, I mean, we have him with the highest optimal percentage. I think it's close between any of them, but he does look the best to me right now.
All right. I finally got my lineups run, so I'm gonna refresh this and see what I have for that previous game. Do you have your stuff yet?
It's almost done.
Okay. All right, so I've got mine. I don't think I'm gonna like this. I think there was a number there that was pretty unappealing when I first looked at it. All right, so for Utah, basically didn't have much other than Kessler. For Detroit, I got to a bit of beef stew, which I tend to do at 5,600 power forward center. I barely got to Boyan, so he's probably going to be somebody that I need to dig into a little bit later. Relatively minimal amount of full strength Pelicans, but that is bound to change. If even one dude is out, we're going to create some value. On the Cleveland side, they are on the back-to-back. It's kind of hard to talk about them. We didn't have Donovan Mitchell yesterday. That is a gigantic talking point for the Cleveland Cavaliers. If he is in, he's 10,300 point guard, shooting guard eligible. I actually think he looks really good here against the Pels. Like, I'm happy to get to him if he's playing. He's going to play big minutes. If he's not, we're going straight back to jamming Craig Porter, 4,700. We're going to be jamming Sam Merrill way more. You and I jammed him either way, but Sam Merrill is 4,500 shooting guard eligible. He's going to be in a shit ton of lineups. Jesse won't be happy about it. The guy that I got the most, though, for Cleveland as of right now, $3,800 Tristan Thompson.
Yeah, just 6-game slate. He's playing the backup center minutes. We only got about 29.5 minutes from Allen yesterday, which led to 18.5 for Thompson. Massive game for him. That's obviously possible. Any game where Jared Allen plays like 35, however, you're getting 13 minutes for Thompson, but he's just so cheap that if you need that price, it's fine. It's still not something really showing up for us. 4% ownership, 1% chance of being optimal at the moment. If Mitchell is in, clearly looks fine. 10,300, playing a lot of minutes. 4% ownership, 6.5% chance of being optimal. If he's out, Craig Porter Jr., 4,700, like you said, would look great. Started yesterday, only played 25 minutes, but certainly could have played more. Just, didn't work out that way. I would go right back to him. Merrill at 4,500. You kind of got the opposite game from him as you did Porter. Not that Porter was bad, but you got the Sam Merrill plays 30 minutes when Sam Merrill makes 8 3-pointers in a game. He is still a risky play. Like I think he would clearly be a good value. He's a shooter. He's not creating. He's a shooter, and they do need that. But if he's not making his shots, you are very live for 20 fantasy points. Also, the 38 yesterday is not indicative of what you should actually expect from this guy, but he would look like a pretty good value, playing anywhere from like probably 22 to 30 minutes if Mitchell is out. But if Mitchell's in, I don't think this team as a whole looks that appealing.
No. I'm really surprised that we don't have Tristan Thompson as like a much better optimal play. We have that kind of thing every single slate on slates that I don't expect to see it. And now it's just like, oh yeah, that would make a ton of sense on this 6-gamer.
Well, it's because we only projected 42 minutes to him and Jared Allen.
Okay, that makes sense. How many did we give Tristan Thompson?
12.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, if you gave him the 16 that I gave him, I think that would change the equation a bit.
We're at 30 for Allen, 12 for Thompson.
Okay. Oh, wasn't looking at a Tristan Thompson value day today for me, but I did get 27% of him. So great start to the day. I feel like I have your exposures that normally exist in the morning.
Right. Yeah. So for me on the Cleveland side, my highest owned guy right now with these guys projected in, or with Mitchell projected in, is Mitchell at 7%. With the Pels guys projected in, 19% Herb Jones, my highest. Zion at 8%, Joe Val at 6%. Not surprisingly, 32% Jaden Ivey, since we have him projected to start. 28% Asar Thompson, 18% Bogdanovich, my double-digit guys on Detroit. And then on Utah, 5% Sexton, 3% Horton Tucker.
On to San Antonio?
Yep.
Dude, I'm so pumped for this. You want to skip this game for today and for the deeper dive? I don't want to talk up Wemby. I really don't. So Wemby's back. We're at full strength for the Spurs. 25% ownership coming into Jeremy Sohan, 20 to Victor Wembanyama, 20 to Trey Jones. Okay, that'll go away. 10 to Keldon Johnson, about 10 to Malachi Branham. I have 66% Wemby. Let's do it, baby. I'm in for it 100%. He looks like arguably the best play on the slate for me today.
Yeah, I have 57% right now, and that's without doing anything to his rates or anything like that. We have him getting 20% ownership, 22% chance of being optimal. So I'm actually interested now how we are projecting him. We have him for 50.6 DraftKings points in 32.3 minutes.
Okay.
So yeah,
it's a little bit behind me, but not by much.
Yeah, we're up to 1.57 DraftKings points per minute. This is more in line with where I think he should be as a center. Yeah, happy to get to him. Still has power forward eligibility, only 9K. Looks absolutely fantastic. I'm getting 58% Trey Jones. I think that does probably go away.
Yeah. How many minutes?
We have him at 24 minutes, 19% owned, 23% chance of being optimal. I think he's okay on a 6-game slate at 4,800. I don't think I'm getting this much of him, though.
Yeah, 23.8 minutes last time out. That's just too much. It's too much. And those minutes on a 6-gamer, they matter. I went 20. Yeah. I think 21 is reasonable. I think I wouldn't have like an argument for 22, but I tend to go low here.
Huh? Like he got to 23.8 minutes because he played 4.5 minutes of garbage time, or a couple minutes. Like he did sub in before they subbed out Keldon Johnson, Vassell, and Sohan, but then he did play he played 2+ minutes with Champagny, Barlow, Mamu, and Branham in a game that was over. Like, I think 21 makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, same. Like, I have 28% Malachi Branham. I've been getting him a lot lately, but, I went 28 minutes, 5K, point guard, shooting guard. We don't have a ton of value. The minutes seem pretty stable at this point. Understand why it's happening. It's just not that fun.
Yeah. Sohan looks problematic for me, too.
Yeah, I didn't really get him.
I have 44% right now, and I have trouble looking at that one. Not that I love having 44% Sohan, but I have trouble looking at that one and saying like, oh yeah, I don't think I'm going to get there. Point guard, small forward, 5,600. I get he's 26% owned. He's projected to be the highest owned guy on the team. 20% chance of being optimal. I get why he's showing up. Whereas Trey Jones, I don't really.
Yeah, I understand the Sohan piece today. It's the morning. He's got a great price tag for morning runs. He's got the perfect positionality for a morning run. Like, I get that. I don't have it, but like, I also wouldn't be surprised if I run this again in a couple hours and I go from having 4% to 44%. That wouldn't shock me at all. What else do you want to do here for San Antonio? You liking anything else? Keldon, Devin Vassell, anything like that?
Getting the 15% Keldon, 10% Branham.
Let's see. How many minutes did we give Sohan? I'm trying to find it. I can't find his name.
29.
I got him. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm up. Same projection for me too. So, I mean, the Spurs side looks good. You're catching the Bulls on a back-to-back. It's a decent spot for it. You're getting Wemby back. Devin Vassell now questionable. That literally just came in right now. So, thanks Spurs. That'll matter. I'll like Wemby even more, I'm sure. Who benefits if Devin Vassell ends up out?
Wemby, Johnson, Branham, maybe Jones.
Who do you think starts if Vassell ends up out?
Champagny.
Yeah. What they should do is start Trey Jones and just play Malachi Branham at the 2, but
yeah,
they're not going to do that.
So also, I guess as a follow-up, Champagny benefits, assuming he starts.
Yeah, 3,400 shooting guard, small forward. Wemby season, though. How much do you think you'll actually end up playing? Are you going to try to use him this time?
Yeah, I'm going to. Well, it'll help that I don't have to remember to manually change it.
Yeah. Are you going to lock button Trey Jones as well, or not? Wait, wrong Jones. Tyus Jones.
Yeah, that worked. That did work out well.
Wrong Jones. Go to the Bulls side. Hard to talk about the Chicago Bulls right now. I'm very happy with what I'm getting. We got to remember, facing the Spurs is a cheat code for looking significantly better in DFS. And to me, that's happening here. 15% ownership to DeRozan, Kobe White, and Andre Drummond. Drummond being at 16 and no ownership coming into Tristan Thompson is kind of funny given the prices. 22% ownership coming into Vooch at 8,100. I actually think Vooch does look good. I didn't really get there. I didn't get as much Kobe White, but you'll be surprised to know that I have 65% DeMar DeRozan in the revenge narrative game against the Spurs.
Yeah, I mean, always. Kobe White, my highest owned guy, only 16% though. So not getting as much of him as I usually do, especially in the morning. But 8,300, I mean, that price tag just keeps increasing. He's playing big minutes, but it's really expensive at this point. Still a good matchup. Getting to 16%, like I said, so is the field. 11% Vooch, so I'm about half the field there. I am getting virtually no DeRozan, Caruso, Drummond, Williams. So overall, just not getting to this team as much as the field is, which I don't really love because it is a good matchup. But at the same time, they have gotten pretty expensive.
Yeah, I'm surprised you're not getting an overwhelming amount of Kobe White. Like this spot is fantastic for Chicago. Who knows? I'd say it's at least possible that Alex Caruso does not play this game on a back-to-back. That would not shock me in any way, at which point we're starting to look at extra minutes to some combination of Dalen Terry, Dosunmu, Javon Carter type plays. But I'm very happy to get to DeRozan in this one. I was yesterday. He was solid enough. 13% ownership against the Spurs on a 6-gamer. Like, I think he's underrepresented for the amount of minutes he's been playing. Go DeRozan, my favorite player. The guy I always get right. Definitely doesn't score team records in points on days where I fade him. Never happens. Will you like Dosunmu if Caruso's out? 5,500. I don't really think that we're going to get there anyway.
I mean, not really. Like, it's Dosunmu who'll play big minutes if Caruso's out, but he's still not a good fantasy producer. I assume I would just end up playing him the same way that I'm playing Caruso, which right now is not much at all.
Anything else for the Bulls?
No. I would like to get more than I am, but also sort of understand why I'm not.
The sponsor for today is Better. You guys can see that on the banner at the top of the screen. You can double your opening deposit at Better up to $500. You should not be sleeping on these deposit bonuses. Getting that much additional cash on your deposit, it's an absolute no-brainer. You could 100x your money at Better. You could use Odds Shopper as well if you're looking for additional help. We've got Better plays on Odds Shopper, taking a market-based approach to beating these books. But if you want to sign up, link in chat or in the description. Again, 100x your entry if you can correctly select up to 8 picks. They've got NFL, NBA, baseball, hockey, and more. I've been telling you guys this every single day. Take advantage of these offers for deposit bonuses. Figure out where you want to play after that, but get the money first. At some point in time, that's going to dry up. You're not going to have these kind of bonuses. Take advantage now while you can. Indiana Pacers are on a back-to-back. They are 5-point underdogs in Memphis, 247 total. So we don't know anything about their current injury report. We got Jalen Smith off to a huge start in his opening rotations for the Pacers and then did not play in the second half. They went to Isaiah Jackson, and then Isaiah Jackson played the blowout run. Isaiah Jackson, Jalen Smith, and Miles Turner did play the full 48 minutes at center and didn't overlap at all. So there is that. 3% ownership to Bruce Brown is the high mark on DraftKings. It's 16 to Buddy Hield on FanDuel, 18 to Turner on FanDuel. I don't have a single share of the Pacers. To me, they look bad unless somebody ends up out.
Yeah, I have one out of 100. If the slate started right now, out of 150 lineups, I would have one Miles Turner lineup, one Buddy Hield lineup, and that's it. I'm with you. It's a tough spot to get to. Turner's pulling the most ownership right now at 2.4%, 5% chance of being optimal. He's relatively expensive at 7,800. Bruce Brown getting 2% ownership. They're the only two guys here on DraftKings that are getting more than any owners, getting any ownership at all. Yeah, it's a really tough team to get to. Buddy Hield's salary jumped $800 overnight. He would, like I said, I have him in like a lineup right now. If he were still 5,800 or 5,700 or whatever he was yesterday, he'd be somewhat interesting. But that salary jumped. Bruce Brown went from 5,600 to 6,100. It's really tough to get here.
Yeah, I don't like it. But who knows? We had a bunch of guys that had Q tags yesterday. Maybe that continues into today and we end up getting somebody out. But for now, we don't know that.
Speaking of the pricing here, and I enjoy this pricing. I've said that a million times. If we're worried for whatever reason about DraftKings not having enough casual NBA players, make it so you can actually click on the names that you want to play before you start just removing games from the slate would be my suggestion. Again, I personally am in favor of the pricing. I think it's fun. I like it. But yeah, I think if I were like a casual NBA player, I'd probably enjoy getting to play like Joel Embiid occasionally. And that would.
You mean you don't want to play a 20% owned Andre Drummond on days like today?
Yeah, like I don't know. I think that might move the needle a little bit more than being like, hey, don't worry, you don't have to worry about LeBron James today because he plays at 10 o'clock.
Yep, I agree. Now the Memphis side of this one is kind of wild. I'm getting a lot of it, and I would like to talk through it. 25% ownership is the high mark. That is coming into Vince Williams. Played big minutes again as the starter now. 17% to Jaren Jackson, 20 to Morant, and 13 to Bismack Biyombo. I have 3 guys at 40 or more, including Vince Williams at 73%. What's standing out to you for the Grizzlies?
Great matchup. Xavier Tillman is the one that I'm getting a lot of. We have him projected for 22 and a half minutes.
That's too many.
He is showing up a ton. So that will change.
Yes.
Played 20 minutes last game, including a lot down the stretch in the fourth quarter. So yeah, that'll come down. Other than that, I'm getting to only 18% Jaren Jackson, 13% Vince Williams, 12% Morant. I would like to be getting more. Hopefully I will by lock of guys other than Xavier Tillman.
I have 73% Vince Williams, which I know will come down later, but small forward is a hard position to fill. His minutes are there. I only have him at 0.8 fantasy points per minute. It's just what's happening because they face Indiana today. It's really that simple. I got 48% Ja.
I would be very happy with that. 9,500, still a good price tag. Came back, and we were actually right about this one. Played normal minutes right out of the gate. More than normal.
How do you want to project his minutes today?
We're at 33 and a half. I think that makes perfect sense. Like we had talked about it a lot the other day that we thought he was going to play normal minutes when he came back, but the question was, what are normal minutes? Because last year overall, he averaged like 31 minutes per game. For a long stretch, he was just playing like 30 minutes a night. But this is a different team. You don't have Tyus Jones as your backup point guard. That was the big thing last year with the minutes. It wasn't that like Ja couldn't play more minutes physically. It was that they didn't want him to in the regular season because they had a very good, very deep team. They're clearly going to be one of the best teams in the West. There was no reason to play him 36 minutes a night in the regular season. There is now.
Yeah. I went 34, so I feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, I think that 33-34 makes a lot of sense to me.
Especially with like everybody still out. Like if Smart comes back, maybe you don't feel as confident of giving like every single minute there, but I am absolutely doing that. I also got, so like you have the Tillman problem here. I've got the Biyombo problem. I went 24 minutes. He's $200 cheaper than Tillman. I got 40% of Bismack Biyombo.
Yeah, we're 21.5 Biyombo, 22.5 Tillman. Which I don't know why or how.
I can't project Tillman for more minutes if Biyombo is the starter.
Agreed. And that's like the Tillman problem for me looking at the boom bust tool. We have him getting 4% ownership with a 19% chance of being optimal. So obviously he's just going to show up a ton using those numbers, but those numbers are going to change.
Yeah.
I think that the way I view it is, so I'm getting 5% Biyombo, 77% Tillman. Again, I don't think I get that much of either of them. Well, I don't think I get 77% of either of them. But if just for the sake of conversation, a center in this price range needs to be in 80% of my lineups, I'd much rather just be going right down the middle on these two than just jamming one.
Yeah, like I don't have a great feel for what they're doing here. I don't really have a great feel for why they closed with Tillman after he was just fully not in the rotation 2 games ago. Is this a Ja thing? I don't know for sure. Maybe. I don't know. But like Biyombo got a massive first quarter rotation, 10 minutes. He picked up foul trouble, came back out and got another foul again. So like it was broken up in the second quarter. He then came out and played another 8.5 minute in the third quarter rotation. Those are massive rotations to then just not show up again.
Yeah, and it's weird. Like, so most of Tillman's minutes did overlap with Ja, but if you're really like, if it is just a straight, like we like the way he plays with Ja, why didn't you just start him?
Right. Which could happen, at which point we are going to like Tillman at that point.
Yeah, if Tillman starts, then we're back to, I probably will have 70-something%. But like right now.
And that's why I have 40% of Biyombo. Like I think whoever's starting and you're giving 24 minutes is a good play today against Indiana.
Yeah, agreed. And also like the reason that I have such a big split now is we have Biyombo for 4 times the ownership of Tillman, but we have Tillman twice as likely to be optimal. If those are like the actual numbers, then you should just be jamming Tillman, but those won't be the actual numbers.
Right. Yeah, like if you would have told me that Biyombo didn't close, my thought wouldn't have been because Tillman did. It would have been like, oh, they went to Jaren Jackson Jr. at the 5 and Santi Aldama closed or something.
Exactly. Yeah, my guess would have been Aldama was on the floor.
So I don't know what the plan is going to be here, but one of these 2 centers is going to look decent tonight. I feel pretty comfortable saying that.
And the other one will look like it's a relatively small slate, good matchup, contrarian play. Just not.
He's a great pivot to whoever the other guy is.
Right. He's a great pivot to whoever the starter is. He's a great pivot to Drummond.
Yeah.
None of them are going to look like, well, the backup certainly isn't going to look like a 77% play like I have right
now. No. So I'm very curious to see how that shakes out. But for the Vince Williams ownership, like that's not going anywhere today. He's just a starter at a good price tag on a 6-game slate. And I want all of the Ja. Anything else for Memphis?
No.
Let's go to Orlando. 8-point dogs in Milwaukee. Unfortunately, we got to go do this one again. 238 total for the Magic. They're on the back-to-back, but these guys are like the nicest people in the world. They actually have their injury report out. Q-tag on Joe Ingles, Q-tag on Jalen Suggs. So shout out to the injury report on the back-to-back. 24% ownership coming in too. Wendell Carter Jr., single digits across the board for everybody else. I have 33%. I went 25 minutes to him today. I hate myself. That dude's going to play 30 today. I've never been more confident in something in my life. What do you want to do with Orlando? Because I don't think they look all that great other than the guy that we advocated for aggressively yesterday.
I apparently want to play a bunch of Carter. We have him at 24.5 minutes, so same ballpark as you. I have 57% right now. We have him projected for 26% ownership. So there's nothing like that looks weird about his projection or his ownership that is driving him up. He's just showing up in a ton of my lineups, which I guess I like. Obviously, it doesn't feel good after just getting burned by it yesterday. But I think I would rather have a lot of him today than I was expecting to look and be like, oh, I'm not getting the Carter today. And then he plays 32 minutes and I am really pissed off. So I guess at this point, I'm just going to be committed to playing $5,400 Wendell Carter until he finally does something.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, he looks good here. The one thing that I will note, and there's not a lot you can do with it because it is a small sample and also a small slate and a good price tag. He has sucked this year from a fantasy standpoint, even outside of yesterday.
Yes.
You shouldn't, again, small sample, you shouldn't just be concluding that Wendell Carter is now a 0.8 DraftKings point per minute guy when he's been over a fantasy point per minute for his entire career. But he has sucked this year. So him playing poorly yesterday from a fantasy standpoint was worse than usual, but more in line with this season than you would think.
And let's pump the brakes here too. He played 5 games before yesterday.
Right. No, that's what I'm saying. Like very small sample, but he has consistently played like shit all season long. All of that said, I'm just playing $5,400 Wendell Carter. I have 21% Suggs. If he's in, I think looks pretty good. 6% ownership. We have him with a 10% chance of being optimal at 5,900. Happy to get to that here. Pretty good matchup. Other than that, not much of anything. 5% Cole Anthony.
If Suggs is out, Cole Anthony at 6,200 is going to like that price has finally come back down now. He's going to look pretty nice.
Yeah,
if
he'll
Suggs
look good.
ends up out.
Agreed.
Because that price was like very high like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, he was up. I think he was over 7K.
I was going to say that I felt like he got to like 8,100, but that might just be Kobe White in my head. I'm looking now. He got to 7,200. I'm just thinking of Kobe White, but he was 5,600 like 3 games before that. So the extreme jump did happen. Anything else for Orlando other than just we should like Wendell Carter? And by the way, past 2 seasons, including last year alongside Paolo Banchero, 62% true shooting. The season before that, 60. He's always been 70% or more at the rim. This season, 58% at the rim. Like you just don't expect Wendell Carter to be that.
The Julius Randle problem from the beginning of the season.
Yeah. He's still rebounding in the same way. Like all of that data still looks the same. It's just, he hasn't made a layup. He's certainly using less possessions too. That S&P just said it too. I was just looking at it. But again, 5 games at the beginning of the year. I don't know how to like read into that too much. All I know is I'm going to be playing him again. The Milwaukee side is mildly complicated because we have a Q tag on Giannis Antetokounmpo, which, in case you're living under a rock, that matters. 8% ownership to Malik Beasley, 22 to Chris Middleton, 15 to 20 on Brook Lopez and Bobby Portis. No real ownership coming into Giannis or Dame. I will happily get to Giannis. My problem is just I think Wemby's a better power forward center option than he is given his price tag.
Yep, agreed. I'm not getting much Giannis at all. I'm getting no Dame. I'm not thrilled with either of those things, but I get it. There's plenty of point guard options that are cheaper. I'd rather be getting 9K Wemby than 11K Giannis, which sounds crazy, but
yeah, bad matchup too. Like Orlando, good defense, slow team.
Yep. The guy that I'm getting is Middleton again, getting 67% right now. Shooting guard, small forward, 6,600. Played 28.5 minutes against San Antonio. He's pretty firmly just playing 27, 28 at least. Could play a little bit more. So I'm fine getting there. If that 67% came down a little bit, I wouldn't be mad. I think the price tag is pretty close to correct, but I think it's the shooting guard small forward that's just fitting him into so many lineups.
I've got a lot of Beasley at 5,300 right now, which I legitimately hate, but I'm trying to like discount his minutes. He was playing a ton. I only went to 32 here, but it's still aggressively happening for 8%. And then I'm 2Xing Lopez and Portis. Lots of Milwaukee for me.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised I'm not right now. I only have 9% Portis and 5% Lopez, so I'm pretty aggressively under on both of them.
I really don't want another Portis day after him having like a good game.
Yeah. I'm under on the entire team right now, with the exception of Middleton getting like all of my exposure to this team.
Alrighty.
And one other thing
Uh,
on the Wendell Carter conversation too, whether you think he is worse now, whether you think Paolo like stole all of his powers, whatever it may be, Wendell Carter used to be a 7K plus guy. He is 5,400, and it all just comes back to salary drives everything in DFS. You don't need to even figure out what you actually think Wendell Carter is until his salary
yeah,
jumps like $1,000.
yeah, like he's $600 cheaper than he was when the season started. Now, if you want to say that's because of the minutes or whatever, that's fine. But we're talking about a guy that was like you said, regular, like had regular games over 7K last year. Um, Anything else here for Milwaukee? Okay, if Giannis is out, we're getting all of the Bobby Portis at 5,500, correct?
If Giannis is out, yes.
Who's a better play, Damian Lillard or John Morant?
With Giannis in or out?
Out.
Prob-
That
Probably
Pacers
Dame.
matchup is so good.
Yeah, the matchup's really good. Dame's a little bit cheaper and live to play like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
The minutes is why I ultimately said Dame. That with him being a little bit cheaper. If they were playing the same minutes, I think it would still be Morant, but I think there's a real chance that you would get like 4 to 5 extra minutes from Dame versus Morant.
Do you give more minutes to Middleton if Giannis is out?
Maybe like one.
Okay.
I don't want to go too crazy
That's
on
a big
Middleton.
minute though.
Well, right. But like I don't want to go too crazy just because like I don't want to say, oh well, I think he's going to play 30 now instead of 28 because I don't know what the likelihood is of him playing 32.
Yeah.
And I know there is still a likelihood he only plays 28.
Does anybody else get a major benefit if Giannis is out? Do we create any value from someone other than the very obvious like Portis play?
Does Connaughton open up some at 3,900 probably?
Yeah. Beauchamp, I guess, could, although they
Yeah.
have been
I think
removing
he's
him
behind
a bit
Jackson at this
lately.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
So
Connaughton would be my answer.
very interesting portion of news here. Well, I like this 4-game 8 o'clock slate. I don't know if this turbo has anything decent, but nice little 8
By
gamer
turbo,
or
do you
four
mean the
gamer
main
at
slate?
8.
Because that's what it is now.
Yeah, kind of. Kind of. Anything else here for Milwaukee?
No.
Well, guys, we got to talk about the most important thing that we can talk about right now. Do you guys like deals? I bet you do. You guys must be used to me telling you that you could sign up for college football or college basketball because it's the bowl season. But ho, 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 Santa Josh is here and he is bringing the deal to you. The promo code is HOLIDAY, 25% off any stochastic package you want. It is active right now. 25% off whichever package you want at stochastic.com. All of them. They're all 25% off. This will last until the day after Christmas, last till the 26th. If you want to sign up at Stochastic, this is the way to do it. We are not going to have any promos for a while after this one. We've been pretty active with the beginning of the NFL season. Short Gamers, Millie Win, Cyber Monday / Black Friday, and now we're back again for Christmas. So if you've been looking to sign up at Stochastic, whether that's for a week or a month, we have both styles of packages. You can do that for 25% off right now using the promo code HOLIDAY. Don't sleep on it, folks. Again, it goes away on the 26th. Now is the time to sign up if you haven't done it yet. Link in chat or in the description. If you want lineup generator, Sims, whichever sport you're looking for, we've got something for you. All righty. Final game on the DraftKings slate. The Clippers, 4-point dogs in OKC, 234 total. Basically impossible to talk about these guys. They raised the prices of the Clippers dudes, but they're on a back-to-back. We didn't have Paul George yesterday. If everybody's in, these guys look awful. If Paul George is out, they still don't look great.
Yeah, I mean the preemptive price raise is just it makes it so if one of them, like obviously most likely George, but if one of them is out, then they obviously look better than they would otherwise, and you can start maybe taking shots at them. But if they're all in, I have no idea how you're paying for a $9,300 Harden or a $9,200 Kawhi or an $8,800 George with all of them active. Zubats is up to 7K. All that I would have if slate started right now is one lineup with James Harden. Again, going back to my point, if we're trying to attract casuals, I think it probably would work a little bit better to just not make these guys $9,000 when they're all likely to play. But yeah, really, really tough to get there. I have no idea how you do it if they're all in. And
Yeah,
I don't think it's very easy, even if one of them's out.
no, I don't think you'll get to too much here. I ended up getting to a bunch more Kawhi, like once we got that Paul George news yesterday. I got to too much Norman Powell too, but it's fine. He ended up scoring 20. Um, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody sits here. I actually have that weird feeling that like Paul George plays, but Kawhi sits, even though Kawhi
Yeah.
has been playing everything. It's just like it feels like a back-to-back where you kind of just pump the brakes a bit.
Yeah, I kind of assume one person sits. Like, and again, like I'm not even knocking DraftKings for the pricing. I like the pricing. I like that they're being preemptive with it. I do think there's a good chance that somebody ends up missing this game, and if somebody
Yeah,
does, then they just kind of look like a normal team where there's some 5% plays. Whereas if they
yeah.
didn't touch the pricing and George sits or Kawhi sits, then they look really good.
Tough team to talk about. Then we get to the OKC side. This is where it starts to get really, really disgusting. Here are all the ownership numbers on DraftKings. By the way, no one on FanDuel is in double digits. However, 13% ownership is coming into Aaron Wiggins. 18 is coming into Cason Wallace. And just in case you think that number sounds high, it's not nearly as much as the 62% that I have. 20% ownership to Chet. 20% to Isaiah Joe. I am at 30. 15 to Jalen Williams without the Y. I'm over there. 17 to Josh Giddey, which I bet sounds fantastic to him. 20 to Kenrich Williams. I've got more than that. 15 to Lou Dort and 17 to SGA. That is 9 guys on the Oklahoma City Thunder projected for more than 10% ownership. This will not look like that when we get to lock. Like the Aaron Wiggins ownership and the Cason Wallace ownership will get evaporated at least a little bit as we move forward. But what are we doing with this stupid team that plays like 15 dudes every game?
Yeah, I'm not getting nearly as much of like almost anything. I have
Yeah,
67% Dort right now, which whatever. He's 5K, small forward. Like he's clearly a useful piece. I assume I don't end
he's
up with.
he's your Vince Williams.
Yeah, exactly. I assume that gets spread out somewhere by the time we get to lock, but he's the one that's just like getting jammed in 2/3 of my lineups right now. Other than that, though, 19% Jalen Williams, so slightly over the field there. 15% Giddey, 12% Chet. So even with the field on Giddey, under the field on Chet, 5% Cason Wallace is well below the field. 4%
Must be nice.
SGA is well below the field. I don't have any Kenrich Williams. I don't have any Isaiah Joe. I don't have any Aaron Wiggins. So again, this all is just going to change by lock, but at current ownership, I'm just not getting here. And part of it is probably because of how much Xavier Tillman I have. I don't need to go to the OKC value, but
Yeah.
still at these ownership numbers, I don't think they look very good.
Yeah, 62% Cason Wallace, 31% Kenrich Williams, 31% Isaiah Joe. Sure, like one of these Oklahoma City Thunder guys might be okay, but I don't need to play all of them just to hope that I get it right. It's a lot going on here for the Thunder. Not ideal. I like SGA. 10-2 on this slate is interesting. It's just the problem is I don't think he looks as good as Ja, and Ja is cheaper. And we might get Dame being even more interesting. It's weird. It's weird. Anything else for OKC? They're a really difficult team to talk about because really the guys you want to roster are SGA, Chet, and Jalen Williams, and you probably don't want much of anything else. Dort's fine, but like
Right. Yeah,
the
the guys
Wiggins, Wallace, Joe, Kenrich Williams shit, like no one wants that.
right, the guys you want are SGA, Holmgren, Williams. Then
Yeah,
you tolerate Giddey and Dort, and
yeah.
then you throw up on the rest of these guys. I mean, we have, and it just speaks to the slate right now, but we have Isaiah Joe projected for 14.7 DraftKings points. That's the most out of the non-starters. 14% chance of being optimal, 20% owned. Cason Wallace, 13 DraftKings points, 15% chance of being optimal. Aaron Wiggins, 10 DraftKings points, 18% chance of being optimal. Like this is all just not going to look like this later. And they're most likely going to be pieces that you don't even think about. Like Aaron Wiggins played 7.5 minutes in the first half last game, did not play outside of garbage time in the second half. Like this isn't going to be somebody that's 13% owned. He doesn't have an 18% chance of being optimal.
It's gross. Like I understand why it's happening in the morning. Like I'm not shocked by this. We don't have value to speak of. Like we started this one off by me saying that I had 27% of $3,800 Tristan Thompson. Like you got to get it from somewhere if you want to pay up. It's going to happen.
Yeah. I mean,
Where you get it is going to be gross.
if like people were actually going to play Aaron Wiggins 13% of the time and Kenrich Williams 20% of the time, then yeah, give me 77% Tillman. Like he's better than all of them.
All right, let's close this one out pretty quickly before we turn this one over to the NFL Strategy Show. This is FanDuel only. This game is not on the DraftKings slate. Lakers are 5.5-point dogs in Minnesota, 224 total. We do not know the status of either team. They're both on a back-to-back. And spoiler alert, they don't even look that great to begin with. AD and LeBron are 3% and 2% owned on FanDuel. Those are the highest marks of anybody on FanDuel. AD is 11.5. If you're playing on the FanDuel side today, I don't think that you're doing it and looking at the Lakers with any sort of hard vision because they look bad.
Yeah, nothing standing out here. LeBron 10-5 pulling 3% ownership's the highest owned guy, 7% chance of being optimal. $4,600 Cam Reddish, shooting guard, small forward, 6.5% chance of being optimal. None of these prices look very good. And you also have to keep in mind that on FanDuel, generally pricing is softer than on DraftKings. So chances are there have been a lot, like there were more good plays as we went through the slate elsewhere. So like the fact that the Lakers are correctly priced makes them actively look bad.
On the Minnesota side, we have 30% ownership coming into Mike Conley. He's 5,600. I think he looks okay. I don't think he looks phenomenal for today. Single digits everywhere else. I don't have much interest in the Minnesota side of this one either, assuming everybody is in.
Yeah, Conley looks like the only one really standing out. 5,600 is just a very fair price tag. 18% chance of being optimal, 30% ownership. Looks like a pretty good value. Other than that, McDaniels, Towns, Gobert, Edwards, whatever you get to is fine, but none of them look like priorities. It was nice yesterday, speaking of Kyle Anderson, who I don't think he ended up being popular, but got plus money on under 3.5 assists, and he played 12 minutes.
Yeah, they are not playing him as much lately. Yikes.
Also won that Luka bet that you wanted me to not win.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Yeah. 21 points at halftime, 21 points after 3 quarters.
That'll help. All righty. Anything else here? You have no article, just a video, correct?
You're right. Thank you for reminding me.
Oh, that was stupid. I should have just let you do too much work. Anyway, keep your eyes peeled for my prize picks, contenders videos, and then Adam and I will be back for the deeper dive later tonight. Anything else?
Nope.
Shout out to Better for being the sponsor. Shout out to Jordan for being the producer. We'll talk to you later. NFL Strategy Show coming up next.